Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news from Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. This week we take a look at new space station interiors, the CitizenCon panels are revealed, and finally this month's Jump Point explains the work remaining for the final pillars of Star Citizen, including server-side object container streaming, persistence and server meshing. So in this month's Jump Point, which is a monthly digital magazine for those who subscribe to the RSA website, it had an article, a very in-depth article, which highlighted the current status of server-side object container streaming. Now it goes on to say that most of the work for server-side OCS is done, with just a few things remaining. At this current time, they have nearly completed the location ID work, which allows for players and AI to safely spawn in the appropriate location. This was an issue as both players and AI would spawn and then fall through the planet as the spawn point would load in after the player. So they needed some logic to spawn the necessary locations, especially floors, before they spawn the player. This is almost complete, as I say, and they should be finishing that soon. This means that they will then be able to use server-side OCS to a certain degree. They didn't specify exactly how, but it also means that when we get the initial delivery of server-side object container streaming, it won't be complete. It does mean, though, that they can see potential issues that will need to be fixed and then need to be worked on, which they are actively doing now. They can sort of foresee what's going to happen. But the initial delivery of server-side OCS does mean they will have way better content scaling on the server. So once this location ID is complete, that's basically most of server-side OCS. But there's still a few things they need to do, like cross-session persistence. This is to develop an efficient network access layer to allow the storing of entities in a database on a different machine, so that when they do a reset of the server, all that information is saved, unless they delete the persistent database, of course. What that means for the player is that all those things that you've been earning for and working towards means that they won't have to do the wipes as frequently, and generally, if you drop something on a planet and fly away and then come back again, it should persist over play sessions. From there, it's server meshing. This will allow for more players per server, and instead of having a single server managing all the database views of the client, they will be distributed over multiple servers, which will reduce the load of each server, moving entities between each server. The editor support is what they'll need to do after this. They need to make sure that the engine editing tools are streaming aware, which will just allow the devs to continue developing content quickly, decreasing the load times and bad frame rates that they incur as they add more content to the game. Now, the next bit after that was just Squadron 42 support, which they say is the easiest additional work, as it just shares the same code as Star Citizen, so that shouldn't take too long. But it's safe to say that the vast majority of work is done for the back end of Star Citizen. However, there is no telling how long each piece of work will take. Location ID for server-side OCS doesn't sound like it has long left. Once done, we will definitely start seeing the benefits. Then it's on to persistence and server meshing, which we are yet to really hear about what the progress, if there is any, that they've been making. Server-side OCS will bring some good performance improvements and allow them to scale up the amount of content that we have. It is unlikely that it'll increase the player count, more just things like getting other entities like planets, AI and caves and all these other entities that populate the universe. They're kind of at a cap right now with just the client-side object container streaming, so server-side means they can really ramp that up. Persistence is going to be great, especially for the wipes, because they are frustrating. This doesn't mean the end of data wipes, but it will vastly reduce the regularity of them. We have just had one with 371, and obviously everyone who has worked their socks off to try and earn some cash have just had it all reset, which is frustrating. Server meshing is probably the big one. I have no idea how long this will take. I don't even think they do, honestly, but it will truly make Star Citizen the game it needs to be. Having everyone on the same PU, just transitioning between servers seamlessly, will be a true feat of engineering. Not that server-side OCS isn't, of course, it's just that will kind of be the true vision of Star Citizen. Now, my guess is that by the end of the year, we may see some of the benefits of server-side OCS rolling out. Most likely, it'll be version 1 with all its teething problems, but it is a start at the least. I do hope to hear more on server-side OCS and beyond during CitizenCon. We do often get a good lot of information regarding the sort of 12 pillars. It is definitely getting close to finished. Anyway, do let me know what you think of that. Let's move on. So starting tomorrow on Monday the 28th through till November the 3rd, Star Citizen will be having a free fly, giving those who haven't yet purchased the game the chance to try it out and many of the ships for free. All you need to do is have an account. Feel free to use my referral code when you sign up, it is in the top left hand corner, or just follow the link in the description. Using the code will grant you a free 5,000 United Earth credits, which is your in-game currency. This will then allow you to download the game and play Star Citizen completely free during those dates. If you have a friend, however, who is trying to get you into the game, be sure to do him a favour and use his referral code, as this will grant him a free small snub fighter, the Merlin P-52, should you end up actually purchasing the game. So inside Star Citizen this week, it was the return of Inside Star Citizen after their 3-4 week hiatus. Started looking at space station interiors. The new stations bring scale and variation, meaning that the stations will feel less repetitive when travelling from one to another. On the inside, this is. The shops, rooms, adverts and so on vary a lot between each station, but there will be similarities between these stations as they are R&R stations, or Rest and Relax, which is a brand. So the R&R design will likely be the prominent space station in Stanton and potentially other systems, but eventually other branded space stations of completely different art styles will be created and will really increase the variety even more. Now these stations we are seeing, I believe, are the small rest stop stations, which they do say are 4 times larger than what we have. Eventually we will see medium and large stations. Hopefully we will see massive stations as well. Something I always love thinking about is when we will see the upcoming unoccupied stations. So instead of these R&R stations being a place to refuel, rearm, full of NPCs, some of them will be derelict, abandoned, home to pirates, or even home to some form of creature or alien, and that is going to be exciting. Also, something to note is that when these interiors are implemented, I think they said that they won't quite tally up with the exteriors straight away, but they will be married up at a later date. This means that at first the interiors won't really make sense to what the exteriors look like in terms of shape, but they will in a future update. Now, sticking with the space stations, found at many of these space stations we will see food courts offering a variety of eating options. I'm hoping that we are just seeing the food courts now, meaning that, this is a particular area of that station, and then there will be other areas like a shopping area or maybe an off-limits engineering area to house the station's power plants and so forth. I know many of you are probably thinking, why the hell are we getting loads of food courts when it really has no functionality in-game at all right now? But coming in 3.9 is the additional player status feature, which will require players to eat and drink to maintain a proper health status. So although they're not relevant now, they will be later down the line. Personally, I think the stations are looking really good, but I'm really more excited for the larger stations like we see in movies and games, and also the derelict stations. We are yet to see how the refineries and cargo depots will look as well, so rest stops are not just going to be the only type of space station we get, there are many more to come. So next up are the annunciator panels. To help keep the pilot up to date with what's happening with their ship, they have developed using this new building block tech, which has a lot of benefits, one of them being faster prototyping, so saving the developers a lot of time. The panels touch many systems in your ship like heat, power and weapons and so on, just letting you know the status like low power, high heat, shield status, proximity alerts, failures of systems, and maybe if you're getting targeted. It's kind of a quick visual to help the player see what's going on the fly. And it's only the start to getting the pilot more info. I'm sure as we get used to it, they'll become more useful. Do note that the icons change colour, I assume depending on the severity of the situation. So when it's clear, it's okay. Yellow is kind of a warning, and then when it goes pink, it's more of a critical information by the looks of things. Weird choice of colours, but they could change. The panels will be available in a few ships from the start, which have space to fit them in, so not all of them. We've seen them in the Valkyrie, the Gladius, and potentially another Anvil ship. I'm not sure which one it is. But personally, I think the panels are going to be more useful than we think. At first, it'll probably take a bit of getting used to even just notice them or recognise what the lights are responding to, but over time and use, we will begin to get accustomed to them, and hopefully it'll become more instinctive. I still expect a lot more in terms of UI and ship notifications letting us know exactly what's happening, but for now it's a good start. Anyway, Jared says over the next few weeks they will start showing off some CitizenCon stuff without spoilers in future Inside Star Citizens, which should be fun. But that's it for this week. Let's move on. So also this week, part 2 of the second run is available to read, and Star Citizen Live took the Big Benny's logo and transformed it into a 3D bowl. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share the video with all your friends. If you like what I do and want to help me make it better, follow the link below to my Patreon page to learn more.